So just got to do my normal YouTube stuff here before we get started. Sorry, I just got a text from a friend. I can't show it on stream. Oh goodness. All right, that's good. Now we begin. Let's see. So I've got a state machine that I've made here, and I'm going to get enumerators, but they're not in a key. Let's see, GDScript. Get enum things. There's got to be a way to get the enumerator without a name. Objects property list. Let's see what happens if I do this. Let's go. Invalid call. Oh, that's it's a virtual method. So is there get property list? So that's okay. I see. Let's do that. Okay, and kill that. Try it again. And what do we got? Class name. Hang on, we're looking for. There's no class name. So if my enumerator, if I have to give the enumerator a name, let's see. Nope. Okay. We'll go up here. So I'm writing my preferred state machine logic, and I think I've got it pretty good. Pretty good. But it could be better. So what I'm trying to do here is, because I'm enum. Keys in a named enumerator are not registered as global constants. They should be accessed by free prefix by the enumerator's name. Tin4, copy that. So if do I have to let's do this. Point break. I should call it a point break. Whoa! All right, so we hit that. So, can I do this? So if I print taco, it should be the number 1 when the state is set. Let's just find out. Yeah, misplaced enum. So it has to be up there. Okay, so here's what I'm trying to do. So this is my basic state machine logic here. It's pretty straightforward. I set up an enumerator with the different names of the states. This is a inline inner class, I think they call it in here. So okay, so here's what I'm trying to do, just for future troubleshooting that I may run into, which is to say that if I so we start a new state machine and we give it the name state, right? The current state is called current, so I can ask for the current state by doing state.current. That'll give me the current state. What it's actually returning is the enumerator value for the current state. Sometimes in troubleshooting, I may need to give the name of the enumerator. Say I want to append that to a label or something like that so that I know what the current state of the enemy is just by looking at it on the screen. Or maybe posting the name of the state in print debug. So my problem is that because I'm not giving the enumerator a name, I can't go through it as a key index to do a value lookup. So I could do, if I do it that way, it'll make it a dictionary. Then I can look up the key number and get the name. Okay. Or the value, I guess it would be. But regardless, okay. Here's the problem. If I set a name to it, then my little cleanness here, state, would become, I don't know, state, whatever name I gave it, like current, state name dot chase. I could do something like that. It seems like a lot. Okay. Well, state name. That's not too bad. Okay, so just so I don't have to rewrite everything, we're going to clone the enumerators with their own. Wait a minute. Wait a cotton picking minute. Self. Can I use self? Let's see, GDScript, get classes, enumerators. list. List class enums. Let's see. Try Google. Creates global scope. What's this? Constants and variables. This is all. And we go error codes. How's it going? You were on yesterday, right? Let me see if I can. Oh, that's right. For some reason I missed the last two things you said. So you're 17, you're going to college. I'm guessing you're in Europe. Am I correct? Nice. Yeah. For some reason, the time that I stream, I get a lot of people in Europe. Germany and the UK tend to be the most common. I don't think you guys aren't in the same time zone. I'd have to. No, there's no way. Is? No, there's no way. Is there? No. So if I do named. Man, I cannot. There's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce that name, but I'm working on a state machine right now. I'm about to get going on the AI stuff here in a second for the game. That's one benefit to Twitch streaming is the chat is instantaneous. It's really fast. There's no lag. Yeah, I can show you what I've got so far. The AI for all the enemies is set. It's working. Let me refresh. So F5. Oh, it has no idea what I'm talking about. Print taco. Wait, what is it saying about? Because that is absolutely declared. Oh, because it's the identifier taco isn't declared in the current scope. Oh, because I took it away from the. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So this is all I got so far. So my buddy made this little animated. He's doesn't need to be here actually because I'll be able to create the logic for it and everything. The ghosts are all jammed up in here because I'm starting to get the home state going for them. But I could, let me just go over here real quick. I can set them on chase so they all start out chasing me. Scatter. So if I set their current states to scatter, they'll all come after me. The ghost logic, so I'm basically right now just working on a Pac-Man clone, but then I'm going to fork it off and make it its own thing. Try to make it something unique. But the logic, the AI for each of the ghosts is these lines of code here. Real simple stuff. The red ghost, Blinky, he always goes to your current cell. He's always trying to go to wherever you are at currently. Clyde is a little more advanced. He uses your current cell and is it the player? Distance to player current cell. Yes. The distance to your player cell. And if it's less than 8, he tries to move towards you. And if not, he moves away from you, goes back to his home. So then in the Inky, Inky is the most complicated and hard to predict. Basically, you're drawing a circumference around. You're drawing the width of a circle from Blinky as the center and you as the edge, and whatever is on the opposite end of that, he tries to go in that direction basically. So as Blinky gets closer to you, he then comes in and tries to pincer you. Then we've got Pinky, and Pinky always tries to get in front of you. So whatever direction you're heading in, he goes 4 plus that, tries to head toward that direction. Well, yeah, that's why I'm making a clone. I suggest cloning something that you're familiar with. Something simple too. Don't, there's a lot of people doing like Minecraft clones, but then they do these videos and they're not really making Minecraft. So here come the ghosts. Right now they're in scatter mode. So they try to go home. And then they're going into chase mode right now, and they all have their unique personalities, and they're coming after me, and they're about to get me. They got me. So I'm working on a state machine to handle the logic of what state the ghost is in. There's 3 main states for the ghost. There is a chase, a scatter, a chase, and a frightened. Scatter, they go to their home base. Chase, they come after you. Frightened, they move in random directions. And that's when you eat those little the power pellets. You can do it. You can make a game. Solo, you're only 17. You got time, man. Don't worry about it. You'll get there. Have you guys done any coding? Or is it that the scary part? Yeah, you can do it. If you really want to get started and you do know about programming, there's this right here, gameprogrammingpatterns.com. And that is a free web version of the book. There's physical copies you can buy, but the whole book is free online. And it has programming patterns that are used in game development. And the main one I would suggest looking at, it's really simple, but it's called the game loop. And that's basically how game logic works. That's funny. Okay, well, I think you can do it. If you're reading that for fun, then there's no reason why you couldn't. I think the hard part about making a game is finishing it. You need to make a game small enough in scope that you actually can finish making it and feel good about, like, have a completed game. So, like, that's why I'm making the Pac-Man clone to start, because I'm just trying to get, like, a working conceptual version of a game done, and then building off of that in a loop, basically going around and refining it and adding elements and then refining that and so on and so forth until I get something that I'm happy with. But basically, the idea is to get to a finished playable game as quickly as possible so that you always have something you can play and you don't lose interest. And you can also very quickly tell if it sucks or not, and if you should be spending your time on it. Because I think I watch a lot of YouTubers, game dev YouTubers, and they tend to drown themselves in features. And like, I don't know if you're familiar with that. I forget the engineering proclamation, but basically, like, that you can get the 80% done in 20% of the time. You can get like 80% of the way when you're doing software development with what takes like 20% of the time. And it's that last 20% that takes like 80% of your time. It's that last mile that is just a killer. So yeah, every time you add a new feature in a video game, it's compounded even worse because any new idea generally needs sound, maybe music, graphics, and programming all to carry it. And so every time you have a new idea and you're like, oh, we could do this, and you can get a rough thing of it going, and it's not quite right, but it's enough for the idea. You're just creating, whatever time it took to get that rolled out. You multiply that times, my brain, multiply that by 4, and then you get a rough idea of how much time it's going to take to actually finish it. Well, that's a good problem to have. It shouldn't be hard to find programmers at all. If you go to places like Discord for there's a lot of YouTube channels that have Discords that do game dev stuff. So if you follow certain engines, like Godot has its own YouTube channel. There's Godot Wild Jam. There's the Game Maker Discord, and then there's We Make Games or something like that is the YouTube channel. They have their own Discord. They're dried up. They don't have any art or anything. It's all programmers. So finding a programmer is not hard. It's finding someone you can work with, I guess, that would be difficult. Yeah. It's just you got to go out of your comfort zone too. Talk to strangers and stuff like that if that's not, And people on the internet can be unreliable and things like that as well. So you can talk to somebody that can be 100% behind you and be like, yeah. Let's do it. And then they ghost you. So that's the hard thing if you're not working with somebody you can see in person or know. That part can be difficult. So, okay. So for now, I'm just going to ignore this problem for now. That's probably... I mean, I could do it this way where you just do both. As long as they're in the same order, then I can do the key lookup. I'm trying to see if there's a way in the GDScript here to... There's a property list. What is meta going to give me? The object's metadata. Let's try that. Print get meta list. And so I'm trying to get the enumerators. Nothing. Property list didn't give me what I want. I don't want to have to call enumerators by a name. Okay, so so I have my state machine going here, and like I'm just trying to have there's cases where I have the state names populated by enumeration. So basically it's just counting the constants, so 0, 1, 2, 3 for each of these names. And there might be times when I'm troubleshooting where I need to print in a debug or on the screen somewhere the state name, not the enumerated value of the current state. The problem is to easily reference the enumerator, I have it set as just a basic, I'm just using this enumerator here so that I can go, when I instance this subclass, it's not a subclass, it's an inline class, I guess they call it. But anyways, so I create an instance of it here. It's called state. And then I can go state.chase to get the enumerator for chase. But if I were to print this, the result would be the number 1. That's the problem. So the problem is that that's what I want to do. So I was going to get a getter to do that, right? The problem is that I can't look up the name. So you can do an enumerator with a name, which is confusing because the enumerator has a name too. But so like name and then the enumerators. So then I can go name dot the enumerator name, right? Now it's in a dictionary that I could look up. But then when I refer to it outside, I would have to append. I'm just a glutton for wanting clean code, so then I'd have to go like this. Oops, not timer. But state would be state.name.chase. So if I was doing state equals current, and then I wanted to change state current equals, and then I wanted to change it, I'd have to append name to it. I just don't want to do that. I like this, state.chase. That's really clean. But I figure what I could do is just duplicate the two. So just go like this, and then do that getter to do the name lookup, and then just have them be identical. But I don't know. I like to have things clean and not potentially create its own set of bugs. But I'm just going to leave it alone for now. Yeah, no, right. But that's the problem is I don't want to do the name. I just want it to be like this. So then I can refer to them like this, no problem. But if I do this and then I look up the keys, what is it? Let's see here. Keys, enumerator name, keys. And then I look up okay, so if I go current like this, and I do name dot keys, and then I look up the current enumerator, so return, and let's just make sure I hit this when I try and print state dot current name. This should run the getter. Let's see real quick. Okay. Scatter. So that works. I've got the variable current name set to a getter. So if you ask the class its current name, instead of just returning the enumerator in its constant value, we return it in its named value. And the way I'm doing that is going like this. So I'm doing two sets, one with a named value, with a value called name, which is, so I mean theoretically you could also do this still and it would still work. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Because I wish that I just had the one row of enumeration. Because I worry that sometime this might happen and then suddenly I can break things. But I'll leave that. I mean, it's all right. It's all right. We'll take it. I'm going to commit this before I continue on. So what kind of game would you guys want to make? I think I asked Solo that yesterday. Do you have like a dream game if you were to make one? All right. That's what I'm talking about. What's the dream game? New state machine. All right, got rid of a bunch of crud. We'll discard this. Deletes. Oh yeah, I just got rid of a ton of code. That feels good. I keep forgetting to pull. And I want to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, push that out. Cool. 3D open voxel sandbox game, but not Minecraft. With stuff such as designing and building your own guns and tools and such. Thanks, Fargio. Mining and processing, way too many things. All right, let's go back to what I'm doing. I'll take it. I don't know why you're saying that, but I'll take it. What what do you have done with it? Like what's working in it? Or is it all just conceptual? Yeah. Probably said let me know if I got your name wrong too. Cuz that's definitely not my strong suit. Well, speaking of engine development, that's why I got this. So, I haven't actually spent any time on it yet, though. But I do want to learn C. I want to get as close to the metal as possible and, like, really understand it. Okay, so I got to stop avoiding what I'm trying to do next, which is I need to set up the stage here so that I need to work on a process of having the ghosts leave their home. So let me close this area up, and then we're going to how do you even I can't imagine that. I don't even know how you would even know that you're getting to a pixel on the screen. Like, how do you even know you're making progress if that's that many lines of code? Is there a way of, like, knowing that you're getting close? I've got a triangle. But is Vulkan's the new OpenGL stuff, right? Is that going to carry over, like, to console? I imagine it will. See, I don't even understand. That's my ignorance is showing right there because I don't even understand that side of it. It's so funny because you're going to C and it's like, well, now I need OpenGL. That's cool. All right. Well, let me keep moving on this. I don't want to get too distracted, so I'll keep talking, but I need to be coding. No. Keep talking. I need to just remember to keep coding. So I think what I need to do is... Well, let me get Frightened going, because that was one of the other things I was working on here, was getting Frightened going. So the way I was going to do that was... I have a timer here, and I was going to... Let me look up timer in Godot real quick. So I'm using pause for Frightened. So the way that Frightened works is there's two timers going back and forth between scatter and chase modes. And then when Frightened occurs, the timer for whatever the current mode is paused. So they're stuck in that mode basically until the pause time of Frightened ends. So Frightened is basically like a pause, a timeout. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to send signals or notifications to the different elements that need to know that, because there's a lot of like edge cases where Frightened is happening, but you eat the ghost and now they're back to normal. They're heading home and then they come out of home. Frightened is still happening, but they're now back to whatever the current timer mode is, I guess you could call it. So I have a couple ideas, like maybe if I tell the ghost... Well, so that's what I'm trying to figure out is, do I... The problem with the way that Godot's timers work is that if I'm using paused, I'm a glutton for punishment because I just like to have things clean. So the player object sends out a signal saying that it's eaten a power pellet. And I'm registering that signal in the timer. And it triggers the Frightened method if that signal's received. And that sets the timer to pause for a certain number of seconds. Right now I'm just doing a static 10 seconds, which is way too long. But for now, it's just for testing. Then this is where the problems I run into where I'm like, okay, well, I could have a Frightened variable. That's what I've got here, and set that to true. But then I've got this messiness. There's a timeout signal that I'm registering to self. And basically when the timer stops, oh, maybe that's... Hang on a second. Right, this won't work anyways. That's a bug. I'm writing a bug right there. That wouldn't even work. I'd have to do it in Delta under the process because I need to see if it's paused or not. If it isn't paused, just like I'm doing in timeout, but I have to do it in delta. Because timeout only triggers when the present timer ends. And I need to do it the minute that pause is over. And I don't like this, so I'm going to do and frightened. Why is the highlighting not right? Does and work in GDScript here? And. Okay. It is a keyword. If it's not paused and it's frightened, then we set frightened to false. And we emit the signal that frightened is over. Okay. That should work. Okay, so in that case, what's a good way to do this? I can get the group var enemies equals, and I think I'm doing this on the world. Well, writing your own engine is certainly a thing. I watch, I like Jonathan Blow. I watch a lot of his stuff, and I definitely agree with his thinking with regards to if you have good ideas, then you need to do the work to do like engine development and stuff like that to achieve those ends in the most, effective way. But there is something about being able to just get something on the screen real quick. But then, you do find yourself banging your head against the wall with limitations or issues with the engine you may have. That's one reason why I like Godot, because it's pretty lean. And the like overhead part of it, there's still a lot of like manual stuff that you end up having to do. So where is it happening at? Board, that's what I'm calling it. Maze objects, ghosts, maze objects, ghosts, scene tree, get notes in. Okay, so here we go. I'm just copying some code because I can't remember off the top of my head how to get the stuff out of a scene tree from, so we still need the scene tree. So we're going to go like this, go like that, enemies equals this, and then we call it ghosts. Let me double check that we're registering ready. Let me check the node groups, ghosts. Okay. All right, let's just make sure this hits. Yeah, okay. So for every enemy in enemies, we need to connect the Yeah, the enemy should be really doing this. So we'll do it here. So that is the frightened, and then we're going to connect the root. Game. Where did I put it? Game timer. Timer. So we'll connect frightened over to self. Well, I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, the scripting language is really nice. I've done some C# on it. I came from, so I bought a copy of GameMaker 2. And like 3 years ago, I made a couple of games in it. I made a couple of prototypes in it. I actually remade the Wolfenstein raycasting engine in it and some other things, but it's just it's very limited. I know that a lot of the scripting stuff has changed in it, but I just I tried to collaborate with people with it, and the way that it handles even its own files and stuff, it's just a nightmare. Everything you do in the game in the engine when you're editing things like creating new files and stuff, it touches this root file, and it's just horrible when it comes to like using Git or any sort of code change management stuff. And so I started looking at the other engines, and I came across Godot, and there were some other people that I had followed doing GameMaker that had switched to Godot, and so I just checked it out, and I kind of fell in love with the way it handles certain things. Frightened and frightened over, frightened function, frightened. Let me just copy it because I don't want to spell it wrong. Yeah, and like the conceptual stuff I got pretty easily. But the other, so one of the other things is not having to do revenue sharing. That's a pretty big one. Not having to split. And granted, like I believe that Unity, I think, is pretty much free for my needs. Whoa, what the F happened to... I must have pulled in some graphical stuff my buddy did. What the heck? What the heck? Oh, what happened? Let's close this. Don't save. Yeah, what did he do? What is this? Tile map floor test. Oh, he's doing some sort of testing. Sorry. I just pulled in some changes in graphics. Graphics changed. So much bloom. Yeah, we're messing around with a lot of the graphical stuff right now. So I got a buddy who's doing some of the graphic stuff, just screwing around with lighting, and we're really trying to understand some of the lighting stuff. But there might be, I might run into something that I can't stand about Godot, like once I get really involved in it. But I'll say the other reason, one of the other reasons I was really attracted to Godot is that it has, I don't know if it's because of the cost of GameMaker, but GameMaker has a very American audience of support. Here's the other thing I'll say. Because Unity and because Unreal are so huge, there is a lot of awful support out there for people. And it's not like I just watch YouTube videos to learn how to do things. So we're going to see if I can initiate Frighten and over. So let's just see if these trigger. Okay, so they do. And this is going to be 4 times for each ghost. There we go. Now we'll see if frightened over hits. You're still coming at me. It's definitely chasing me. So it didn't. So the way I'm doing node path must be wrong. Path. Sorry. No, I'm looking for node path. Is it one word? Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's a lot of bad help for those engines, Unreal and Unity. The other thing is that it's open source, so that's really appealing to me. I mean, if there's something engine level that you need to do, then you should be able to do it. Git node. Oh, is that the problem? No, git node. Is it git root? Do I it's the scene tree. I've got to use the scene tree. No, I can do root. Root my game. Timer connect. Frightened over. Let me just make sure I've got frightened over. Self frightened over. Okay, I just realized I haven't actually checked to see if this is getting triggered. So, yeah. So let's hit this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go over to our timer and just look at our variables. Frightened is true. Okay, let's keep going. You know what? Let's make it shorter too, because this is taking way too long. We'll pause for 1 second so we can troubleshoot this more easily. But yeah, the engine was just really appealing to me. I haven't tried, I'll be honest, I haven't tried on Unity or Unreal yet. I did do some development with Objective-C and made an iPad app quite some time ago, right when the iPad first came out, actually. So this should be over real quick. Process. Frightened false. Emit signal. I have the signal frightened over. Okay, let's do this. The problem doing any sort of development with iOS is, and especially sorry, wife's telling me to check my texts. Yeah, Objective-C. The problem is you're dealing with Apple's Cocoa, which I think has a totally different name now for iOS, and the so the problem was trying to learn. It was the first time I was trying to learn a runtime programming, and so just my history of programming is I did everything completely wrong. I did BASIC first, way back when I was a little lad, and that screwed me up because it took me a bit to figure out. I was like 12 when I was doing that, and it took me a while to figure out the whole like line thing. It's like not to figure that out, but to break myself of that understanding and go, because then I went to like procedural, and like the idea that you could call a function and it was in the same code and it existed on its own and all that stuff. And so I went from BASIC to Perl, which nobody even uses Perl anymore. People don't even know what that is. And that was just like a huge mistake. Perl's a nightmare. Then I went to PHP, which was like not really any better. At least at the time. I mean, it's okay now. So it was all web stuff, and I was using it to manipulate files on the computer. But anyways, yeah, Objective-C. So that was the first time I went into an environment where I'd figured out procedural stuff and like functional programming and all that stuff. And now suddenly I was dealing with runtime and memory management, and like runtime, like compiling and waiting. That was foreign to me. Like the idea that I had to wait for my code to be ready to run. It was just like, what the heck? And so like a lot of that stuff I didn't have my head wrapped around. And then on top of that, I'm trying to learn Objective-C with all of the Apple stuff sprinkled in for their APIs. And so it was just really hard to like get a good bearing on it. And that's when I became a little leery of engines in general. And then Apple kept changing. Like every year they kept changing things. Like I was trying to use their standards too, and they kept just changing them. And so nothing could stay the same. I was trying to use their database stuff for Objective-C, and then they kept changing it, and you'd have to write like conversions from the old version to the new one. And then they for the new iOS, and so you'd have to run parallel code because you're trying to keep it up to date because you want to be in the store still for new stuff. And then you're having to pick when you're abandoning people because you need to say that you don't like support this at a certain point, and it's just like, and then the resolution changes were happening too, and it was just like it was a lot, and I didn't have fun. But I don't know if I could rightfully judge Objective-C within the context of having to work with it with Apple. However, the two go hand in hand, really. And so I didn't like it. Yeah. And I'm not a stranger to object-oriented programming, because I had started to really start doing that with the web stuff that I was doing back in the day. But they just managed to make that, as confusing and as sometimes frustrating as that whole thing can even be, they managed to make that confusing. Okay, so frightened is true. So when do I set frightened? When does frightened get set to false? If this isn't breaking, if I'm not hitting the breakpoint. It's on instantiation. Frightened equals false. So 2, 3, 4, 1. Pause should be over. So let's do this. It must be my statement. My if. There's something about it doesn't like. So let's just say if is paused, pass, or breakpoint. I'll do breakpoint. But yeah, I do want to learn C because I want to get to like there's something about it that I think makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think I'll be able to pick it up rather quickly as well. Okay, so it's not paused right now because I haven't eaten a ghost. Okay. Frighten equals true. Well, and that was the problem. It's funny because that was the problem with Objective-C. I never knew when I was handling the memory because sometimes you would have to and other times you didn't. But then you weren't even like it was all method calls to release things and stuff. It just was like, and I'm probably talking about their API more than I'm talking about Objective-C, like I said. Okay, so we know that's happening. Let's just stop going there. We know this is triggering. That's fine. Why are we not hitting this? Let's go to timer. Oh, I'm in timeout. Whoops. Go back to Delta. There we go. Let's start over. If you think you're something, I'm pretty sure about it when you need to call free noise and see whenever you handle pointers unless they're stacked to local variables. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but I like the idea with C that you fight for your pixel, like that it's a battle to get it on the screen, but then you know how it's getting there. And I feel like there's power in that that's just not available on with other engines. Okay, so this is hitting. So let's do, if it isn't paused, this should hit right away. So let's do that as soon as the timer exists. Okay, so that's working. So I just can't get and. Is it because it's a Boolean? But like, so like with C, you've got to, there's very few types, right? And pretty much like, I don't know, I've glanced through the book, but pretty much everything is just like functions. I'm down with that. That's my home. Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I was thinking about streaming this and doing like a study session with it. But I didn't know if anyone would care or want to participate, like a book club kind of thing. Well, then I'm gonna do it. I'll have to dedicate. It'll probably be weekends. I'll do a chapter a weekend or something. I don't know. I don't know when I would do it actually. Oh, timer. But is it the? Let's go over to. So here's the one thing that for sure my weak point with game dev would be is math. And if I go into 3D, I would be needing to get with it, as it were. I'm in the wrong thing. Where is it? Boolean and. I mean, that's a Boolean. I set it as false from the start, so it should treat it like a Boolean. What am I doing wrong? One. Nothing. Well, I'd appreciate that because you could tell me where I'm going wrong. I could talk out loud and figure out. Choose one from each. Oh my gosh. Sorry, got a text here. I like that Fargio, he came in, said that, and just bailed. I'll take it. It's a nice little compliment. I don't know why it's said, but whatever. All right, so let's try this. I'm going to set frightened to true right from the start. And we'll just see if I get... frightened over. And frightened. Is it the exclamation point? No, I've got not. Is it because it's a function? Do I have to seriously do this? Paused equals is paused. And then go like this. And now if we set it to false, is this going to work? Because yeah, it fires. If I force it to false, we're not paused, and this doesn't make any sense if this works. One doesn't hit. Is paused. Print. We're just I'm gonna spit a bunch of this out into the debug. Okay. Both are true. Both are still true. Pause. Oh, okay. It's never unpausing. That's the problem. Why is that? Is pause stays true for forever. So am I doing something? Am I doing that wrong? Let's see. Set pause. Oh, do I need to, is there like, I have to start the timer up again or something when I set paused? If true, the timer is paused and will not process until it's unpaused again, even if start is called. Set pause value. So what's the value for? Oh, that's true false. So because I'm putting any number in there, it must be thinking it's true. Oh. Here I thought it's a Boolean. Paused is a Boolean. Here I thought I could tell it how long to pause for. What a waste of time. This is why, like, this is a perfect example of using your own engine. Helps if I read the documentation, though, huh? Well, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll stream some C stuff. How about tomorrow? We'll start with tomorrow. It'll be like once a week. I'll have to do it once a week. That means I can do it in a month's time. We'll do it once a week. I'll have to pick a day. One shot. True. The timer will stop when reaching 0. Set one shot. The timer will stop when reaching 0. If false, it will restart. Counts down a specified interval and emits a signal on reaching 0. Can be set to repeat or one-shot mode. One shot is set to false. Timer loops automatically. Yeah, have a good one. I should probably stop here. I don't want to get too long on my streams. Okay, so I need to set a new So instead of using paused, we'll say time left. We got to throw that into current timer time left. We're going to say that is 0. Null. Set to null. And we're going to say current timer time left equals time left. Frightened equals true. Time left. We record that because we need to wait time. Well, I just don't remember this stuff at all, do I? I set this up and I completely... That's wait time. Wait time. Wait time in seconds. Uh-oh. I see a problem with all of this. I don't like how I'm going to do this. I don't like how I'm going to do this. All right. So we don't need this at all because we're not going to use pause. What we need to do is check if it's frightened or not. Enemy mode. We can use enemy mode as our current. No, we've got current timer. Time left. So that we'll use that for the pause. Frightened is true. Timeout if frightened. Then we do something else. We do the other thing, which is this. Can we stop the timer? Paused, stop. Stops the timer. So we'll get the current time and we'll stop. And then now this will be true. Next we need to start the timer with, we'll do 1 second. Now when we go to timeout, frightened can be true. Right now it'll start out as false. Frightened is true. We'll set frightened to false here. And then we will restart the timer. Restart the timer for our current start. We go current timer time left. So then we start the timer again with a new whatever was remaining on that previous state. The state is saved because we're setting these values here. When that happens, so we need to flush this guy back out, set him to null. And I think this will work. Let's see. All this stuff will be true. Stop, start, 1 second. Now this will hit as true once that happens. Let's just make sure. Paused, frightened, print. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of all this. We don't need the delta anymore. Start all this crap off. Frightened starts out as false. Okay. 1. Boom. Frightened is false. We start the timer again. Current time left is null. And the timer eventually stops. We keep going. Hit that. 1. Boom. All right. We got it, boys. Okay, so the only other thing we need to do is send the signal. Emit signal. That frightened is over. And we'll make that right down there. Give us some room to breathe here. Some room to breathe. I don't like how spacey that is, but whatever. And we'll bring you down. Let's give everything a little bit of room there. Nice, happy little code. Nice, happy little code. Oh, the only other... Let's make sure frightened over is got a breakpoint. 1. Boom. All right. Now we can do the code for the frightened state of the ghosts. We got the timer logic working fine. So that's done. Let's commit. Let's do some commits. Let's commit to this relationship. Lots of changes to the code. Look at all this stuff. Why did I do all this? Oh, so my buddy hasn't even been working with the timer. Oh, I feel awful. Poor guy. That's funny. Okay, so it looks good. Get the root timer, scatter mode. New underscores for the different modes. We'll just turn these guys back off. Okay. New timer logic includes frightened pause. Frightened timed out. Let's call it. And is there anything else that I did in here? Nope. Looks like I just moved some things around and it just thinks I didn't. So frightened is the new stuff and the signal is new. Okay. All right. Push that out. Let's see. Okay. So now that that's done, stream session seems to be okay. Okay. So function frightened. So we need to change the state. Update state delta. Can I just set the state here? if I go because it's only going to fire once, frightened, if the state, yeah, I mean, in theory, if the timer is long enough, I could hit 2 power pellets in a row. So yeah, we still have to check. So match state current state is home. If, let's do this, state home, if state is scatter, state is chase, and has state current. If it's currently those, then we set the state to current equals state frightened. And did I spell that right? I'm sure I did. I get it right every time. Works all the time, most of the time. Frightened. State current frightened. That looks good. So we set the state. Now, if it's frightened, next direction equals possible directions. Possible directions is a set. Possible directions. Possible directions. Get available directions. Current cell. Possible directions. Are we returning a... I believe we're returning game world, so we're using... I need to rename that. Get available directions. Vector 2. Valid directions is an array. Okay, so we're returning array. So how do we pick random on an array? Shuffle. Random. Shuffles the array such that the items will have a random order. This method uses the global random number generator, common to methods such as call, randomize, to ensure that a new seed will be used each time you want. Crud. Okay, so let's frighten start, and we'll call this frighten end. And let's why am I coding it in the diff? Let's go back to the timer here. We'll call it frighten end just to make it keep this symmetry going. Okay, then let's go back to the enemy, and we're going to we're going to call this frighten end, or not frighten start, and frighten end, and then we're just going to have a base because we have chase and scatter. Let's move these guys up above, even though they're still empty. They're virtual. And every ghost has the exact same behavior when it's frightened, which is that it's going to pick a random direction. So function frightened direction. Let's call it. And we're expecting an array directions array. And we're going to go here and just so the IDE doesn't yell at me, I'll do pass. And then we're going to go next direction, frightened direction, and directions. So we're going to give it possible directions. And then we're going to return. Let me double check. Chase. Let's go to here. What are we doing on the chase? Return next direction. And that's on the end. Next direction. Return best direction. Best direction is a vec2. So we're returning a vec2. We need a vec2. Expecting a vec2. Next direction. Hang on a second. Am I saying that in the var? So frightened direction. Chase. I guess it should be called chase direction. And next should probably get a different name. But okay, so frightened direction. We're getting a list of directions. Then it's an array, so directions shuffle. But we also need to do this randomize seed thingy. Great. Great. Randomizes the seed of the random number generator. Currently reseeds using a number based on time. Random. Anything about randomize? Surely this is something I can screw up. So please, random number. I know I can screw this up. Randomizes the seed of the random number generator, current implementation. So let's do that in the timer. So we only do it once when we hit here. Randomize the seed for ghosts directions. Okay. And then we go back here to our enemy. Shuffle. And then we're going to pick first. How do I get first? pop removes and returns the first element of the array. Returns null if the array is empty. Shuffle pop front. And that's what we're going to return. I think this is going to work right off the bat. So let's just see. We shall see. I want to make sure I hit the right states. Let's make sure that happens. Okay, so here we go. Boof. Huh. Okay. Let's see. I thought it was next direction. How are you be determined from the last direction? Next direction. Okay. These are locals, globals, name, members, name, self. That's weird. Okay. Next direction. Non-existent function pop front base nil. So I got to shuffle it first, and then we return the front. So we'll shuffle and then return. How's that? Happy now? Let's do it. Next direction. That's the one. Nil. New position. Nil. So I'm popping. That's got to be wrong then. So what if I just do the first like that? How's that? You happy now? Oh, it's because I got the dot. Invalid index is 0. Who's it complaining about 0? All right, well, I'm getting there. I know why this is happening. It's a bug, and I'm going to work on it tomorrow. So whoever's watching, have a good night. I hope this was entertaining, or at least something. But we're working on the frightened state. We're getting that going the way it should. And it's exciting. Yeah. So I got some commits I need to make. We'll do that. Cool. Have a good one. I'll be here tomorrow.